So here, Republicans are nearly universal in their support of Israel's final solution. We presented this before, and that, to me, proves we have to leave them because most Americans oppose them. Most Americans oppose that policy that we're pursuing. And so my attitude, my response is, well, we got to get rid of both of them. Let's go with the Greens. And I saw, and I posted this on Facebook, a lot of responses, but this was from a conservative. I don't know if they listen. I don't know if they're a viewer of Halitics. I don't know if I know they follow the Halitics Facebook page. I believe this was on it. Maybe it was just my personal page. I'm not even certain. I don't remember. But the response was, and I don't out people if they're not somebody. I guess I could. This person has a nom de plume, a nom de guerre, so I don't even know what their real name is. But they write, Greens are stage 4 cancer. I mean, look at California. I thought that was the oddest response, to be perfectly honest with you. California, there's no Greens. I mean, there's like a few at like the local level in the past. I know we had Bruce Delgado in Seaside, for example, was the mayor. I think the city of Richmond may have had some Greens in their city council, or at least they had some real progressives, the Democratic, a real leftist group, leftist majority in Richmond, California. But by and large, Green Party is as powerless in California as anywhere else. And that's what I wrote. Greens aren't responsible for California. They have no power in the state. Dems and Republicans bear all the blame. One person wrote, well, you can't blame the Republicans because Democrats have been in charge. Well, I seem to remember people like Arnold Schwarzenegger not that long ago. The Republicans do wield a significant amount of influence in the state, especially in the Inland Empire area. So it's not just Democrats, although I think it's fair to say, Democrats in general bear more of the blame in California. But it's also Republican national policies that have hurt California too. Cuts to the federal income tax has definitely done a number on California. I believe Proposition 13 was promoted by Republicans, and that's been disastrous for the state. So both parties bear a lot of the blame. Excuse me. So I just said, hey, how can you possibly blame Democrats? They have no power. They're not elected. So it wasn't. So the response was, well, but the energy policies, it's the energy policies that are to blame. And I'm like, whoa. There's no green. I mean, I guess the taxes, there's a lot of high tax on gasoline in California, but I see lots of oil platforms off the California coast. So then, well, 2 refineries are leaving because of and they, this is like supposed to be funny to call them new scum. I know Trump calls them that. I don't like Newsom. I'm no fan, trust me. So I just said, hey, I guess he's not all bad if we're getting rid of some of the oil refineries. And so it's all tribal. It's not like, let's look at the policies. Let's make a decision, what's good, what's bad for the state. It's just, we want to go after the other side. They're the other tribe. We've got to kill the other tribe. We've got to wipe the other tribe out. So, we're not going to evaluate fairly. We're not going to say, well, wait, maybe those oil companies really are bad for the state. Yeah, maybe we really do need to go in a different direction. No. And then it's so you promote Luddism, which is, you destroy the machines, you're anti-progress is kind of a Luddite. No, I don't promote Luddism necessarily. I promote saving our planet, right, from the climate holocaust. And this is a big issue for conservatives, right? I mean, I go after the Dems all the time, and Dems are not champion, right? I mean, their policies are terrible. Kamala was for fracking, famously, as are many Democrats. But the fact is, Republicans are even in denial. They won't even admit it. And again, a lot of it's tribalism. We can't admit the other side is right about anything. It's also the implications of acknowledging the climate holocaust. If you acknowledge human activity is destroying our planet, burning fossil fuels is burning up our mother, if you acknowledge that, then you've got to you got to do something about it. We need some kind of collective action. This is apparently sociologists have done some studies on this, and this is a big reason. It used to not be such a partisan issue. There were plenty of Republicans 30, 40 years ago who said, yeah, it's happening. Matt Gaetz, he doesn't deny it, said, yeah. And it's really interesting that Matt Gaetz, the one that Democrats completely destroyed, torpedoed, refused to let him become the Attorney General. It's really interesting to me that Matt Gaetz, who was also a proponent of antitrust action, right, wanted to break up big tech, for example. He's pretty skeptical of big tech. It's interesting to me that that guy is not a climate crisis denier because he's willing to invoke the government to do things to solve problems. But if you're some kind of a libertarian type, you're a small government type, you believe that what we need to do is just get the government out of the way, and then the private forces, private sector will solve all our problems, make us all rich, and except maybe a few people who are too lazy or what have you. But that's the real solution, is just to let the animal spirits of the investor class loose, and we'll all be good. If you believe that, if that's your most cherished belief, then you can't accept the climate holocaust is real. Because to address the climate holocaust, we need aggressive government action. Now, I don't agree with a lot of the proposals by environmentalists to address it, favoring investments in certain energies versus others, government getting involved in promoting winners and losers. I actually do favor sort of a free market style solution, which is a massive tax on fossil fuels, one that keeps rising and rising and rising. That, to me, addresses all the concerns we face. Except, obviously, it would be a regressive tax because poor people spend a higher percentage of their income on energy than rich people do. But rich people spend an absolute amount greater than poor people per capita. So if you just send the money back, if you just redistribute the money that's collected, the revenues back to people, in the end, poor people will actually be better off than they were before the tax, and rich people will be worse off. So you can actually use the fossil fuels tax to address income and wealth inequality. But another mantra of the right is always lower taxes, lower taxes, lower taxes. So they don't like a fossil fuels tax either. But we need some government, clearly centralized government activity to stop the climate catastrophe. And for that reason, many conservatives just simply cannot, will not acknowledge it. And so this person I'm debating says there's no climate holocaust. And we see that view echoed across the spectrum. I mean, Jimmy Dore, I wouldn't say he's certainly not a Democrat, not even that progressive. He's a denier now. And it's awful. I mean, this is an inarguable. We have to unite to solve these problems. They're only getting worse and worse because we're allowing the billionaire class to keep us divided, to keep us from embracing true leftists. You don't think it's getting hotter? July keeps the torrid pace going in one of Earth's hottest years on record. And I was kind of tongue-in-cheek. I said, hey, it's not getting hotter because this isn't the hottest year. It's like the second hottest, or maybe the third. But even there, even that ridiculous argument, well, 24 was so hot by far. I mean, it was way hotter than any other year previously that we've measured. Even that argument that, well, and now it's not as hot, so therefore it's not getting hotter. Even that argument fails when you factor in the reality that this is not even an El Nino year. El Nino generally are hotter years. I don't know, something to do with all that pressure in the Pacific. High pressure system apparently makes it hotter on the surface of the Earth. I don't really understand it. I'm not a climatologist. But even without El Nino, we're going to be one of the 3 warmest years on record globally. This is just happening. That's just the way it is. And it behooves us to acknowledge reality, not to pretend it isn't happening, and to take whatever steps we can, and there are tremendous steps that we can to stop this. But for whatever reason, we just won't do it. We won't do it because there's too much money at stake for a small number of people, and they persuaded Americans, tragically, that they'll be worse off. So I just put my thumbnail back up there, and yet there are still deniers. You can see the Earth in the background there, the map, and the red areas are areas where it's hotter than average, and the blue areas on that map are where it's cooler than average. And it's much, much more red, right? Especially across the midsection of the Earth. You see dark red. For whatever reason, Antarctica is cooler. Parts of it are, but not all of it. You can see blue and red there. But the great majority of the Earth's surface is much hotter than average. It's a dark red reflects, or at least hotter than average. And this is a base period of 91 to 2020. So the base is actually much hotter than the pre-industrial average, or even the average of the 20th century. We're already well into the industrial age. So that's how much hotter it is now than it's been since we've had humans on the planet, since recorded times. It's that much hotter. And it keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Zeke Hausfelder there. 2025 has seen the second warmest first half of the year on record after last year, and is on track to be the second or third hottest since records began. You can see that chart as well, and how temperatures have just, in the past, let me close in on that a little bit, zoom in. But how much hotter it is since, even since the mid of the 19th century. And you can see it just pretty much hung around that average level for quite a while, and then just began to just track upwards, hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter since the early to mid 20th century. So it's just no doubt. It's just not disputable. But people will dispute it. They're just desperate not to believe this. People cannot deal with what we're doing to our planet. It's very, very frustrating. Another thing that people can't deal with